Futures and options on futures trading involve substantial risk and is not a suitable investment for all types of investors. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. When I use the word I in this video, it refers to what I teach in my charting course or what I author in my twice daily oral and written updates. Prices shown on charts and quote boards are in real time and take into account all known activity up to this point in time. And if you'd like to read more of this disclaimer, simply hit the pause key on your video player. Good morning, all. Ira Epstein of Lynn & Associates with your morning flash update for this Monday, the 24th of April, 2017, about 9:40 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I'm late because I got a very early morning call to be on Bloomberg. Was down on the floor, ready to do the show, and if you've been watching Bloomberg, the Chinese have released a bunch of economic data. They're having a conference about it, and it preempted me. What can I say? I know that they had told me they wanted to discuss oil and gold, which is interesting. Oil down another 50. The market is still looking, unfortunately, at one thing and one thing alone. The U.S. production continues to grow. Now, the other thing, of course, is the market has no choice but to believe that OPEC is going to extend the production freeze, and that is because, while the market's 49 now, it would be probably a lot lower than that if they don't do that. And basically what's going to have to happen here is the law of supply and demand is going to be taking over with nudges from OPEC as they, if you will, artificially take oil off the market. And that's what I think you have to expect. But the days of $55 oil staying up there right now in the U.S., not there. In the gold market, I'd be watching. If you run your 200-day moving average of closes, and I've been telling you to do that, it comes in at 1266. Look at today's low. It's exactly what the market held. That's what we were basically looking for in the marketplace, and you're getting it. Copper just fairly stuck here. It's priced in all the bad events. Platinum and palladium a bit lower. The dollar took a beating today, in part because not things are that bad in America, but they got that much better in Europe, as Marie Le Pen and Mr. Macron, I think it's Macron, they will go into the final primary, if you will, election as we call it. It's May 7th, and the polls strongly favor that the centrist will get the vote, Mr. Macron, and therefore the borders will stay open, France will stay in the EU, and that has put the European currency up sharply. It got up over 109, probably overdoing it, and to say today, 2 weeks away, that it's a given, I've heard those things before. Do you ever hear of Brexit and Donald Trump? Nothing's a given till it's over. So don't buy all that. In fact, if anything, that'll rile the forces for Miss Le Pen and probably get them out in a bigger way. But those are the events. The risk on, if you'll remember, in the bonds and notes over this they're pulling that out. But we do still have in the U.S. the coming back now of Congress. We're going to get the president's ideas on tax plan. Again, he misspoke. And that's the sad thing. He doesn't seem to get his language right with his advisors or his cabinet, in the sense that he's going to lay out the details in part of his tax plan. He's still trying to get Obamacare done with a new deal. And what will probably happen is the Republicans, it sounds as though they're very willing to extend the debt ceiling, be it a week, 2 weeks, whatever they have to do, as they try to get the votes in place. The one thing you know is until you hear Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi come out and bash things, there's negotiations behind the scenes going on. Sugar's still under pressure, same with a little bit in the cotton, a nice little bounce in some of the grains, but I wouldn't look for a lot of follow-through. Probably some of this has to do more than anything with the lower dollar today. In terms of the markets, well, the financial markets responded to the French election, and as you can see, you were up sharply in the Dow, you were down in the gold, and you are up in the euro. The Chicago Fed National Activity Index up 0.08. The prior month was up 0.27, and that was revised down from a 34, but that's slowing down. The White House has said the president will offer up principles, as I just said, of the tax reform, blah, blah, blah. Congress returns, and they're going to have to keep the government beyond the April 28th deadline. They will not shut it down, in my opinion, and get the mud on their face. They can afford to go at least a week. President Trump's aides will continue to pass the legislative body of vote for Obamacare and everything I talked about there. The Confederation of British Industry, April manufacturing, slid back to up 4 from March's 8. Germany's central bank suggested that first quarter growth there likely accelerated. Good news. And here's an interesting tidbit. Iranian oil into South Korea is now the #2 supplier. So it's jumped dramatically. On the other hand, Iran is having trouble selling elsewhere, and their production numbers might have to slow back a little bit just because they can't seem to move the oil. So certain markets, yes, others no. And as you know, you're going to be looking at these oil prices in countries that talk about inflation. They don't have it. You're going to hear that in the EU very shortly because they do watch it much more than the U.S. So you put it all together and you've got to watch your indicators. And with that in mind, the good people at Modern Trader Magazine put together Guide to Technical Indicators, trend lines, moving averages, everything you hear me talk about, the different oscillators, how do they work, 23 pages chock full of explanation, charts on them, full color. How do you get this? And it is a PDF. We're going to send it right on to you. Simply give us a call, 866-973-2081. You can, of course, go to our website at www.iraepstein.com. And if you're watching me on YouTube, you can click right up here, that icon, the form will appear, and you'll be able to take care of all the other free offerings that we have as well. So here's the info. Take advantage of it, and I'll see you later this afternoon.